All right, everybody, welcome back to the Simple Markets channel. I have a little bit of a different video for you guys today. I know usually we do some trade reviews, we go over the positions and talk about them, but I figured that today we can actually go over essentially how I would review the market when I hop on the charts in the morning. Some of you may or may not know this. It's about 9 a.m. here, but I wake up every morning at about 4:50 a.m. and I go right to the gym and work out and then come home, shower, eat. I have a morning routine I've had for about 6 years now, but that routine lands me to, sit down and get ready about 9 a.m. and that's when I start my workday. I'll set my orders in trading. It takes maybe about 10 minutes and then I'll usually go and work on my other businesses. Now, with that being said, I'm going to try my best here to kind of stretch the video. If it was realistic, it could be probably 3 minutes of me just browsing through the pairs and seeing if there's orders. But the goal today is essentially to give you guys an insight of when I sit down at 9 a.m. and I'm ready to set my trading orders. This is exactly how I do it and how I would approach it. I do just want to mention, if you haven't watched my other video, I am sick right now, so that's why my voice sounds a little bit off. But without further ado, let's hop over here to the charts. Now, it is Tuesday, it is not Monday. So this is technically my second trading day of the year, and I will admit I am in USD JPY already, and I have looked at a few different orders for yesterday. So essentially what I would do is I would hop on and I would look at my orders and monitor them through MetaTrader, and if I have any open positions, I have a risk-free level that automatically moves to break even for me on MetaTrader. It's a little trade assistant that I use. So we are already risk-free on USD JPY. There's kind of two options here. We could run back below and take me out at break even, or we could continue bullish and, eventually run that take profit. So my risk is officially off the table on this trade, and we can kind of just monitor that and see how it plays out. And more likely than not, over the next few weeks or whatever, we'll see a trade review with this one involved. But now here are my trading pairs. Now, one thing I did not know you could do, one of my students taught me this, you click symbol and it auto sorts all of your pairs. I had no idea about this. I've been using TradingView for 6 years now. So shout out to my students because I am like a grandpa with technology and they help me out a ton with that. So we're going to start here with AUD CAD. And for full transparency on this one as well, I did have this order yesterday that I was looking at with the fib at the low to the high, because we do have a really great sweep, a fair value gap, and a break of structure. My rule that I tend to use often is if this 50% of the fib goes above this break of structure high, I'll tend to leave this one out, and that's kind of my indicator that yes, prices run too far without me. I don't want to just continue holding this order to infinity and beyond. Price could continue running without me. And then by the time it does, I'm sure there's some higher time frame involvement here of liquidity that could change the overall bias. The goal is to be involved in some type of bullish movement like this along with the trading setup that you're seeing, as opposed to just waiting forever and holding it for too long. Now we have AUD Chef here, which honestly for me, there's not really much I am seeing. We have this last leg of price action that I tend to hone in on, but we don't really have a fair value gap or anything. So on to the next here. And there's kind of a similar situation here. Like I said, I've already been on the charts on Monday. A lot of these low volume consolidation areas at the highs are low. I tend to avoid these rather than get involved in them. If you see a nice clean trade, feel free to take it. And of course, we're following the trend fairly well here. But there are some pairs we're going to go over where they are completely sideways, at least they were yesterday, and we'll take a look at them. Avoid those consolidation areas in that low volume. Keep in mind, we are starting out the brand new year here, so volume is expected to be a little bit lower. But anyways, as you can see, we didn't really get that break of structure above the high, so there's nothing for me to take here. Same exact thing here, really not much to go off of. Now, AUD USD, what I'm seeing at the moment is a nice sweep on liquidity. We haven't really closed above the high until what this candle we're seeing here now is, but we do have a great sweep on liquidity, about to break structure to the high, a huge fair value gap. So I will actually have this one on my watch list. I'll drag it up here. And to be quite honest with you and transparent, I am someone who hops on one time per day, usually around that 9 a.m. window. I set my orders. If I see a candle like this that is still forming, I am okay to take this trade in most scenarios, despite the fact that we haven't fully closed above it or finished that 4-hour candle. Like I said, I would rather take that risk and hop on the charts one time per day than be the type of trader who now has to set some type of alert and then come back every few hours to check if these 4-hour candles are closing above the high. That's just my preference, but this is, in my opinion, a great trade that I will go ahead and set. And I'm going to go ahead and mark up all of the pieces to the plan here, just because I think it's a lot easier for my YouTube followers to kind of follow along, and as well as my students when I send the images to my community in a minute. Now we will keep going here with CAD Chef, which once again, guys, when price is very sideways like this, I do not involve myself. It's better off to avoid those consolidation areas. When we haven't really broke above any type of high or low in a concrete manner, we've just kind of consolidated with that range for quite a while now. Same thing with this pair. Euro AUD. Now, this was another one that I did have my eye on, but as you can see, we are running fairly far from that initial break of structure that I was looking at, and I would no longer want to be involved in this one. EuroCAD, kind of the same idea here. We're not really making any progress or any type of trend. We are staying in some general consolidation. These types of very low volume areas like this have never been a strong suit, at least for me. I always would rather avoid them than take them. If I'm not seeing clear volume or a clear trend, kind of like we saw on AUD USD, very clearly bullish trend and very clearly a high volume pair, then I would more likely rather sit out than take that position. We'll go ahead here with Euro GBP. Once again, another pair that I was actually looking at, but we could see we kind of ran without us in that scenario, so it is now void. Now on to the next Euro NZD. We haven't necessarily broken above this high yet with any type of candle close or significant structure, so there's not really much for me here at the moment. Now we'll hop over to Euro USD, which is kind of in a similar scenario. Pound USD here. Now this is almost identical to the AUD USD position that we saw. I like that we do have those candle closes above this high here, so we can mark out the break of structure. We clearly have a lot of liquidity at these relative equal lows and consolidation, so we'll mark that out. I always like to throw the little highlighter tool to help you guys see the range I'm working with a little bit better. Keep in mind, this is the overall low that broke this high, so that is why that's my low. Honestly, I think it's perfectly fine if you want to go ahead and mark it like this. It's not going to be a big deal, but I usually like to take the low myself. So this is once again another one we will drag up to the top here. Do I care that these two pairs are correlated? I do not at all. I let my probabilities play out. Pound AUD here, really we're not doing much on that pair. Pound CAD, same kind of thing. We do have these very large ranges that we're working with. Pound Chef, very, very low volume. And as you guys can see, I mean, I'm talking between every single one of these. Realistically speaking, when I am by myself, I am clicking through and, very quickly I can look at this and see, okay, there's no setup. Pound JPY, now this one, I would say there's a decent setup here. We have a lot of liquidity at the low, but I see such a strong bullish trend here and then a break of structure of the recent high. We have a sweep on liquidity here. Then we have obviously a large fair value gap. So I would go ahead and take a long position from this low to this high and throw that up in my watch list as well, following that very clear and very nice bullish trend. And then this was actually my last trade of 2025, which was a 3R trade on Pound JPY, a nice buy position. We can keep going here a bit. There's not much I'm seeing on Pound NZD. NZD CAD. Now, this is one that I will admit I missed. I only hopped on yesterday. That was the start of the new year. If I did trade towards the end of December here or early January, then I probably would be in this position. Now, NZD JPY, I do like this one because we are once again working with that bullish trend we're seeing. We have a break of structure to the upside, a nice sweep on liquidity here. And then I can mark that fair value gap around the entry and drag that one to the watch list. Now, almost finishing up here, but we are at NZD USD. Now, this one, once again, I would say is similar. It did have a possible buy position here, quite a large range. But because I was not trading at the beginning of this year, I started on January 5th, which was the first Monday into the new year. I was not present for this position. Then we just have USD CAD here, which I do not see much volume on. And then USD Chef, which we're kind of in the same position. So not much going on overall on some of these bottom pairs here, but these are the 5 that I would be putting onto my watch list. Now, of course, I'm already in USD JPY, but these 4 are the ones that after browsing my pairs, I decided there's positions that follow my rules. And honestly, it is as simple as that. Now, I talk between every single trade, trying to stretch the video a little bit more. Truthfully, I probably spend about 5, maximum 10 minutes doing this every single morning. I set my orders, I walk away, I let my trade assistant kind of manage them for me. It is probably the best part about swing trading because when I'm done with this, I can go and get my other work done. I don't have to worry about it. I can come back the next day and see how things are playing out. Hope you guys got some good insight from this. Maybe we'll catch up in another video and go over how these trades all played out. But thank you guys as always for watching. I appreciate you tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed this style of content, and I will see you guys in next week's video.